I have seen so many Sony HF950s, and yet they still make me smile. I love these machines. Hello, and welcome to another Mr. Peter Pie video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're repairing the Sony HF950 SL-HF950 to be exact, and it is the UB version. It's PAL, this is a repair for somebody whose name has totally escaped me. Apologies for that if you watch this video, yeah, I'll look you up in a minute, and so I can say. But basically, I was contacted via an eBay listing that I had a while back, and this has been up in a loft for years, decades even probably. He just basically wants to get it going again. There's a tape in there with some quite unusual footage on there. I believe it's TV outtakes, but they don't exist anywhere online and in any form today, apparently. So that could be very interesting. But it is stuck in there, that cassette. Now, I have already taken the screws off the side. So 4 down the sides, nice and easy, standard video recorder type thing. And if we just take a look, the first thing you will notice is just mega dusty. I mean, it's so dusty. So really I need to sort that out first. Now, the problem that was reported was that basically it's not playing properly. It's chewing up tapes. Rewind fast forward's a bit dodgy, and it doesn't eject properly. It leaves a loop of tape in when you would press eject, although if you go right to the end of the cassette and press eject, it is actually okay. Seems to manage it. And as soon as I found all that out, I thought there's 2 things that could be doing that. Can you guess what they are? Well, the first one is any sort of problem, actually 3 really, any sort of problem with the actual physical mounting of the reel table assembly underneath here, the drawer. Now, these don't suffer from the cracked plastics quite the same under there as, say, the C30, 2030, 40, but they can still have problems with the plastics causing the whole assembly to drop. The other one is, of course, bad bearings on the reel table motor. So we will check that anyway, but I have already worked out what's wrong with this. The third thing is a broken rail. By that I mean this is on a drawer comes out, and then it lifts up the carriage. When it goes down, there's a little roller on this right hand side, and it runs along a rail all the way to the end. And what tends to happen, especially if the transit screws aren't in, the end of the rail gets broken off, and that causes this. So if you can do this, you know you've got a broken rail. So that's what the problem's going to be. I don't doubt there's going to be other issues as well. But we'll cross those bridges when we come to them. These are starting to suffer with more and more with sort of servo issues. I've got Laszlo's actually to finish off. I've already started doing a recap on that. Basically, it's the Elna 10 microfarad 16 volt caps, and they're all starting to go bad in these now. We're getting 1 or 2 odd ones playing up and causing servo issues. You change the one, now really you've got to blanket change them, which sounds really mega, like a massive deal, and it's terrible. It isn't actually that bad. Some of these machines, they only have like half a dozen in the affected areas, so it's not so bad. I mean, if you're really going to go for it, you change them all right the way through all the boards, which is a big job. But yeah, I tend to do the servo ones at the moment because the rest seem to be okay, touch wood, at the moment. But yeah, so we'll look at that as well. We'll give it a test. Won't be doing a plug check because there isn't one on there, so I need to put plug on. But yeah, if you look down there, you can actually see, let's get a pointy thing, there is the metal roller, and there is the end of that white plastic. There is the end of the rail. You can see the rail has actually broken off. The whole length of it's broken off. This is going to be fun. Now, I will say, if the rail has broken off and it's still in there, it's very easy to glue it back on. And what I do is I clean up the metal. I use Araldite, and when and truly shore it up. If it isn't there, then I'm going to have to find a way of fabricating something to take its place. Anytime I've done this before, I've been lucky. I've found a bit of rail. In this case, I think we might struggle. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting video, I think. Okay, so I've done quite a lot since the last segment. First of all, most noticeably, I've cleaned out all the dust. I've taken the bottom cover off as well, cleaned out all the dust, removed the panels. It's not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better. I've also removed the power supply, which is dead easy. Screw in the side here, screw down here, obviously unplug these connectors, take out 2 screws to remove the cord. You don't have to do that, but it's a lot easier if you do, because you just remove the whole thing wholesale. And then 2 screws at the bottom there. Whole thing comes out, and then you can remove this panel first, then this. It slides out the power supply once you've taken the 1 remaining screw out, once this is free. And check the caps. It's quite dusty in there, so I cleaned all that out. Check the caps. And the key ones were all okay, apart from, and I did change these 2 47 microfarad, 10 volt caps that are on the primary side. They're bipolar, and I've changed them for 16 volt versions, 47 microfarad. And these, one checked okay, one had not a terribly high ESR, but it was high enough to warrant changing both, to be honest. I mean, it's worth doing, because if they go short or go bad, it'll blow those 2 transistors, and it gets expensive. To get genuine or like good quality replacements, they're about £15, I think, each now. But yeah, so definitely worth doing. So you'll also see I've got the sled out. Yeah, this was quite interesting. I can actually see a little bit of plastic there as well, actually on the sled. I did, when I was cleaning it through, I found the broken bit of plastic from the sled. But as you can see, there is another bit there, so I need to get that out. Okay, so let's just take the sled back out again. Even if I push down on the tape, the cassette carrier itself, if I pull this out, and you have to do this a bit slowly, you can see it strikes the end of where the rail's broken off, and it just shows you how much pressure this roller here, which is what controls the pushing down the cassette carriage, but also lifts it up once it gets to the end of the eject sequence. It's actually under quite a lot of tension, so you need to push down on that to actually get it past, so you can pull it out. So that's actually a tip. If you've got one of these and you press eject and it comes out only slightly and you can't help it at all, it's like you can feel like quite a distinct stop. Good chance is this side of the sled mechanism is broken. cracked. So there we go, that's fully out, it's not ejected. So the next thing is to actually remove the sled. So I'm going to take the sled out altogether so I can then get in, and hopefully I should be able to get some glue on that. I seem to remember I can actually do it with this out and removing this cross member as well. So yeah, I'll just adjust the camera so you can see. Okay, so there's two places that you need to release the sled. If it's fully ejected, it's only one place, and the one place is the next bit that I'm going to do. So the first one is this lever here, and you just push that back. That allows it to come all the way out. And then just actuate the other lever. So now that that's totally like as far out as it will go, we now need to remove the sled loading motor. So I'll do that next, and then we should be able to then pull this right the way out. So 3 screws. And this board then folds out, there's a clip at the back. There we go. Now a common problem with these is that the end bearing here, it's not a bearing, it's like a rubber sort of mount. This will break down and rot. This is actually perfect. But what I've found, one major cause for that is certain types of batteries, the sort of coin cell style battery especially, will leak, and that will cause lots of corrosion all around here. Usually you can get away with it if it's not too bad. With the board, what it does is it also causes problems down here. So yeah, that can be a real pain in the neck. So 3 screws, and all of these screws are the same length, which is quite nice. Remove that. So the cabling, you can see, goes to a 3-pin black connector, and there's a motor connector here, which goes to a yellow connector here. And there is actually, I don't think all of them have this, or maybe they do and it's just been removed previously. And that just comes out. It's one of those things, once the cables are undone, you can just lift it backwards and out. So yeah, that's cool. So that's all good to go. Don't worry too much about knocking the timing out, because literally when that locates back into the assembly, it will time it. So as long as you get it sort of roughly there, I mean that's the end of the travel anyway. But yeah, it'll relocate and retime itself. Also, it's worth knowing that, or noting that there is actually a position sensor here in the form of wiped contacts, and I've never actually had a problem with these. So if you have, it'd be great to know in the comments what you actually found happened when this fails or when this becomes intermittent. So I'm guessing it could do, but like I said, I've never had a problem, so touch wood. It's always a first. So, and once the loading motor is out, you then need to take this off. I nearly forgot that. So yeah, if you don't take this out, it'll still appear to be locked, because that section there is actually what goes through and lifts the tape carriage. So yeah, don't forget that one. So I should now be able to get this out. So again, just pressing on that lever there, you don't have to worry about the other side now. And this should come pretty much, and let that go now, all the way out. Cables get a bit strained, but you can see that's a long way out now. You can actually get a little bit more play on the cables, but to be honest, as long as it's clear enough for you to get to where you need to work, then it should be all good to go. So, and that's plenty of room for me. Once this cross member's taken off, which we'll do now, we'll find a screwdriver. So yeah, this is always a fun one. When I go to put one of these together, I always get these the wrong way, or I just guess it. Because this has been in a smoky atmosphere, you can actually see which way it should go. But yeah, it's with the curve to the back. So yeah, I don't think it actually really matters, but let's try and keep it as it should be. Okay, so next thing, I'm going to give it a bit of a clean. Just clean up everything down here and get the last bits of dust out. Then and what I'll do is I'm going to super glue onto the plastic, and then I'm going to aldite across the top. If you've watched a previous video where I've done this, or something similar, I think I just aldited it, but this time I'm going to actually super glue it and then aldite it. Part of me is very inclined to try and make a repair kit for this, where you can sort of hack away so much of this and then put in a metal assembly to hold this down. Now I know it's debatable. There's a reason why this is plastic, and it is sacrificial plastic, even though I hate to say that. But yeah, Sony in their infinite wisdom have made it so there is the ability for this to crack if there's a problem. So if a hand gets stuck in there, I think that's what it's for. Although it wouldn't happen all the way up there. I'd be really worried if you managed to get your hand all the way through there. But yeah, it's so it breaks, basically. Yeah, it's a shame, because a lot of these machines, I'm sure, got thrown away just because the sled mechanism broke, and it's just that bit of plastic. But yeah, so I'll do that, and yeah, we'll take it from there. My goodness, I didn't expect that to glue so well. I used Loctite, and it's not gel. It's the proper. It's like industrial super glue, and I have to say, I nearly glued it in the wrong place because it stuck so well. But I managed to guide it into the right area. You can see a little bit of a mismatch at the top part there, but the actual rail itself is absolutely fine. And I cleaned everything with isopropyl first, made sure everything was spotlessly clean, and then put that on. This bit of plastic, I think that bit of plastic actually goes on the end here. You can see where there's some whitening of the plastic. I am not going to worry about putting that back on, I don't think. It serves no purpose. So, yeah, it's quite odd that that's there. But, yeah, so next thing, I'm going to mix up some aldite and just put some across the top here. It's rather academic doing it, to be fair, as this is just so firm. I mean, I've just put a lot of weight on this, and it's firm. I'm actually really surprised how well that's glued. But I'll put the aldite as well. It's an extra layer of strength, and if it does break off, the chances are that the aldite, because I'll bring the aldite over to here, will save this from getting lost again. So that's my thinking. Yeah. Yeah. So the aldite's on, and you see I've put quite a bit on the bit that was broken. Should form a really good seal there. You can't actually see how deep that is, but that is actually quite a deep seal there. And I've brought it across right the way along, to be honest. I mixed a bit too much, so I thought, well, might as well use it. And you can see I've got the sled at an angle, which is actually really easy to do when you actually put it out, and that really does help to make sure that you've properly got the aldite on, but also if any does spill underneath, you want to get that off, because obviously you don't want rough running of the sled once it's all done. So I've gone all the way under here, got a bit on my nail, and just made sure that there's nothing sort of that's gone over the edge there. So I'm going to leave this now overnight. It's 5 minutes curing on the aldite, but it takes 24 hours to actually achieve full hardness. So I'm going to leave that, and yeah, can't wait for tomorrow night to actually get this back together and try it. 24 hours later, and this is all nice and firm, and yeah, good and solid, which is great. That little bit of plastic, I was being a bit daft. I'd forgotten that it is actually mounted on the end, or it goes on the end of the rail. So basically what had happened is it had cracked here and here, smashed off, and broken this as well. So my thinking is probably this part of it broke first, and then in the end the whole lot just broke off. So yeah, that's all now back. I mean, for what it's worth, that's really not doing anything now. It is super glued on, and then aldite put on as well. But yeah, hopefully that's going to be strong enough to last. But anyway, we'll put it back together and give it a test. So let's get the sled in. I've actually given this a bit of a clean as well, and I've lubricated that roller. You can see it's really tarnished from smoke. So slide that in, you can hear it clicking. And that's now locked. So I lift this, tap it back, and then put the lifting mechanism back on. So it goes that way, and it just slides on. So yeah, that's located properly in there. So yeah, there's no clip that goes on here, incidentally, so don't worry if you think, oh crumbs, I'm missing something. So yeah, now to get the motor back in, and yeah, take it from there. Okay, so motor assembly in, and pretty much the same way it came out. And this here needs to go into, probably can't quite see it, there's a little groove, and that's that assembly. And a little bit more difficult because I'm trying to allow you to see where it goes, and that it is actually very possible. So I've done that wrong. So this bit of metal of the actual motor assembly goes on the top, and it should just locate. There we go. It was sort of a bit tricky to sort of maneuver it, but yeah, there is, I don't really see it just about make it out. There's a brass assembly there that needs to actually locate into this, and just wiggling it about and a bit of patience, and it does go in. You can see the holes, the screws are perfectly lining up now. So yeah, that's great. So let's get those screws put back in. And I've got to bear in mind this as well. So this goes right on top, sort of sandwiching the sled motor assembly. And they even put a little cutout so your screwdriver goes perfectly into the right angle to get that screw in. Gotta love Sony. Little bits of attention to detail. That's what really made them head and shoulders above so many other manufacturers. They made highly complex bits of kit and made them serviceable, which is something you don't get so much today. Yellow connector 2-pin. We've got the 3-pin black connector, and that goes there. There, we are done. You can see if I push that, the motor is running. So that's looking quite encouraging. And I will just put the screws in this board as well now. So I suppose the next thing is, well, let's put the cross member back on for what it's worth. And then give it a test. So this is a bit of an odd one because obviously I've not powered this up yet, and yet I've done all this work. So I'm just hoping it does actually power up. So I am poised, so let's power it on. Nothing. Ew. That's not a great start. Well, for the sake of this video, I'm actually powering it from my power supply. You can see there it's sort of 12 volts. One thing worth mentioning, you've got two negatives and two positives, and you do need to connect to both of those for this machine to work. Just worth noting, you can't just put 12 volts into one of the positives and negative into one of the negatives. It just won't behave. So I have already powered this on. The clock is really dim. Just about make it out. And there are things that concern me. So let's turn it on. So we've got some sort of grating going on there. I dread to think what that is. But it's in. Okay, so it's not... It's not putting the tape back in. So let's give it a wind. No, it's very tight. So we're currently drawing about 2 amps, which is not too bad. The power supplies in these, in theory, are rated at 4 amps, but I will say that I tend to find they don't go over much, over sort of 2.5 amps, 3 amps. So if you're going to replace a power supply, you can probably get away with a 3 amp power supply. And I can't get my words out. It's just, oh dear. So oh dear, things are not happy. So I'm going to go for an eject again. Yeah. This is not great. I mean, the thing about it, it is actually picking up the tape. It's not damaging the cassette in any way, shape or form, but which I don't want it to do. Okay, well, it's getting there. It seems to be improving. So yeah, drawing about 2.13 amps. Let's try play. I mean, I was expecting something to be wrong with the head physically, mechanically, with the head drum, but it's actually okay. It's incredibly dirty. I mean, it's really dirty. Oh dear. But it seems to work. So I think I'm gonna wind this to the end and then try and extract this cassette. Oh dear. Well, that's the end of that, isn't it? So when it errors, you have to turn it off and put it in standby and back out again. Yeah, it's leaving tape in there. Okay, so I think what I'll do now is just remove this cassette and wind that bit of tape back in and investigate further, I suppose. Okay, so I've managed to eject the cassette without too much damage. I can see it's been damaged before, to be fair, at the end. But I now have another cassette in. This one is a sacrificial one. It is quite poorly, well used, but it's playing. It's playing fine. don't know what the stills are like. I haven't tried that yet. Let's try it. Still, yeah, it's pretty awful, isn't it? It's not great. I mean, I've not cleaned it yet, but if I have actually got Super Beta on as well. It's normal. So it's not bad, and I mean, this isn't hi-fi, but the audio is actually pretty good as well. I mean, the upper drum is really very worn, so yeah, it's not surprising. It's the tracking's not great, and this tape, honestly, this cassette is really very poorly. Yeah, so I will leave this here now. As you can see, the sled is now working as it should, but we do have other issues, mainly to do with lack of use. But yeah, we need to sort out, obviously give it a clean, give it a service, get the power supply working. No idea what's going to happen with that. A bit of an odd one. So I believe it was working, but yeah, need to investigate that. I may well do another video on this in the future, but it's nothing that I haven't covered in other videos, so we'll see. But you know, if you'd like me to do a video to sort of follow up and so you can see this machine fully working, let me know in the comments. But more than likely I will. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe as well. And I hope to sort of compartmentalize some of these repairs. So you actually have, I'll start a new playlist where you have repairs of specific issues. So this one, for example, HF950 Sled repair. So let me know if that would be a good idea, but I think it would be great. And yeah, so thanks for watching and see you in another video. Bye for now.